Hello everyone, welcome back to Daryl D TV. Thank you for joining me. It is a gloomy, chilly day here in Phoenix, Arizona. But still, you can't beat 50 degrees in mid-February, or January, I'm sorry. So I'll take it, But I'm back with another haul with Underground Comics. I picked up some more interesting titles. A lot of stuff I've never seen before. I went back to Greg's Comics in which is a local shop here, Mesa, Arizona, which is right outside of Phoenix. Greg is pretty much the only place in the entire city, and we've got lots of comic shops here that even had any type of underground comics as far as volume. There's one store that may have maybe a dozen or so really nice books in nice shape for top dollar. There was one comic shop called Monster Comics, also in Mesa. They had maybe 10 or 12, which I'll talk more about them in another video. But other than that, Greg's had a nice little stash. And as I said in the last Underground Comics video, I went in there a while back inquiring about underground, comics and titles. Actually, I went there looking for Richard Corbin books, and he said, I don't have any Richard Corbin books, but I do have some underground stuff that you might want to look at. Well, he brings out a long box that's completely full and had tons of Richard Corbin in there, which was cool. So I dove right in. If you haven't seen the first video, go back and check it out. It's my first Underground Comics haul video. And then on I believe the third trip, he brought out like a half of a long box, and it was magazine size. So he had a lot of books, magazines, and also more underground titles in that one too. So he had like a box and a half. I've been there a couple more times since the last video. Apparently, and somewhat unfortunately, on this my last visit there, he told me between me and another buyer that we were pretty much wiping him out. So some other player came into the game, and when he pulled his boxes out, I saw that that long box is about a fourth of amount of books left, and I believe it was 2/3 full the last time. Maybe closer to halfway the last time I was there, or the time before last. So I just grabbed up what I could. There's still a lot of stuff left over in there between the short box and like a quarter of the long box left. Plenty of titles, but I'm going to show you right now what I picked up. And so here we go. I haven't transferred any of these to new bags or put new boards in them. They kind of been in the same bags or whatever for a long time, it looks like, some of them anyway. So let's go. This first one I want to show you, what does it say? A Cloud Comics presentation, Drool, a humor magazine. I'm not sure. I definitely have never seen this before. It's a 50-cent cover. Mickey Pickles, I guess, did the cover. Yeah, that looked kind of interesting. And a lot of these books that I'm showing you, I've picked up, multiple copies. So a lot of these I'm going to be selling because I have multiple copies of them. But let's keep going. This next one I want to show you is Big Muddy Comics. And this one is Trivial Annoyances. 50-cent cover, which a lot of times indicates a first pressing. Most of these books I have, they're not in like, they're all in pretty rough condition, which for me is fine because I read my comics. I'm not big on, you know, them being mint or near mint. That's always a plus when that happens, but it's not something that I focus on at all. I'm not even sure what this is about, but it looks kind of interesting. And I've seen this on a couple of other videos too. This next one, Dr. Wertham's Comics and Stories. Am I saying that correctly? Issue number 1. And I haven't opened up any of these. I don't know exactly what's in store for me. But, yeah. Wertham's? Am I saying that right? Wertham's? Somebody help me out. Okay, next up. Print Mint. We have a book called Spaced Out. $0.50 cover. That looks pretty crazy, right? This looks really, really cool. Let's see here. Fantagraphic Books. This is the first issue of Doofus. I think there was another copy in here somewhere too. I thought it was anyway. Maybe we'll come across it later. This one, I opened this up just to see what the title of this was, because there's no title on the front. I'm going to cover some of this up, but this is California Comics. I didn't see an issue number, so I'm not sure if this is the only issue or if this is just the first issue. But that one looks pretty interesting. We have issue number 2 of Quack. And this next one, I believe I found 2 copies of this. Let's see, Last Gasp. Brain Fantasy. Not sure what issue that is. I think I got 2 of these on accident. Yeah, I didn't realize until I got home and I started really flipping through these books that I realized that 2 in one day, man, my brain just doesn't work sometimes. I've seen this one around a few times. This is off of Last Gasp, and this is Dr. Atomic number 3. Accompanied by issue number 4. Dr. Atomic, the Pipe and Dope book. Number 3 didn't say Pipe and Dope, so I'm not sure if that is the same run or if those are 2 completely different runs. Both definitely Dr. Atomic. I'm figuring it's the same run. This is issue number 4 off of Rip-Off Press of The Adventures of Fat Freddy's Cat. And as I mentioned in my last video, if you're familiar with the channel, you know I'm in the process of collecting all of Richard Corbin's comic titles, and in the process of looking for his stuff, I've come across a lot of these underground books. I find that it's a lot easier to go into a comic book shop and just ask, do you guys have any underground comics, or do you have any cult comics or things of that nature, opposed to, do you have any Richard Corbin titles? A lot of people don't even know who Richard Corbin is, and quite often I've had people say, no, we don't have any Richard Corbin books, and then I flip through and they do have Corbin titles that I have already, on some of the, the bigger, newer, if you will, comic companies like DC. I think the Conan title was on Vertigo, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, you have the Dark Horse titles. And so I often see those. I know Hellraiser was on Vertigo. So, I just ask for, underground comics. And a lot of times you'll find a lot of Corbin inside of those collections. Next up, we have issue number 3 of 8 Ball. That's some crazy looking artwork. Not into this artwork at all, but it looks like this would be some real interesting stuff in here. And it was this picture down here that really got me. Just kind of looks like a major city, maybe New York or Chicago or something like that. And I'm definitely a city kind of guy. To accompany that, we have issue number 8 of 8 Ball. This is Fantagraphics as well. Yeah, I think that artwork is pretty awful. No disrespect to the artist, Daniel Close, if I'm pronouncing that right. Here's one, like Nobody's Business Funnies. Look like that might be a first pressing. And I actually picked up 2 copies of issue number 6 of Hot Stuff. I do believe, I'm not sure, these I bought a while back, maybe a few weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm not sure. I definitely didn't buy them on the same day from the same shop like some of the other ones, so a little bit of my brain still works. Sci-fi, monster fantasy type stuff in there. I haven't cracked that one open yet. Next up, we have issue number 2 from Kitchen Sink, Death Rattle. And we have issue number 1, offered the Rip-Off Press. This is Skull Comics number 1. First pressing. And here we have from Kitchen Sink, issue number 1 of Banzai. Definitely a Batman ripoff, if you will. It looks pretty interesting. And then we have, I don't know if I should show this one. This one is called Spaced. This is the first issue of Space. Just show that one real quick. Next up, from Last Gasp, Jeff Jones and Spasm. That is a cool looking cover. It always starts with the artwork for me. So that looks like some pretty interesting sci-fi. This next one is issue number 1 from 1976. Let me try and get this right. Andromeda. Can somebody help me out with that? Definitely sci-fi in there. Very interesting and creative cover. I tell you, I've accumulated so many of these. I have no idea when I'm going to even get around to reading a lot of these. I spent this time last year I was in Michigan, and I was buying comics like crazy between the 2 comic shops there in town, buying comics online, and then the neighboring town, which was about 20 miles away, there were 2 big comic shops there. And let me tell you, there was a lot of 50-cent comics. So there was a lot to choose from. And then one of the stores had a 31-cent comic section that was pretty large. So I was buying comics like crazy, not only for myself, but for my little nephews. And I accumulated an entire long box while I was there. So including a lot of the Corbin stuff. I started buying right before I went out there, and I was out there for about a year. So I have a lot of reading to do, so I'm just now getting back into the mix of things, here in Phoenix. Next up, off of Rip-Off Press, I'm not sure what issue this is. This is The New Adventures of Jesus. And also off of Rip-Off, what does this say? Jesus Meets the Armed Services. First pressing on both of those titles. This next one, actually a buddy of mine who co-runs a toy store here in town, gave me this book as a gift. This is off of Rip-Off Press. I'm not sure what pressing this is. This is issue number 1, the Cartoon History of the Universe. And I found a whole... This issue I got from him. You can see the little Goodwill sticker. And then at a comic shop here called Samurai, I was going through their dollar boxes, and I actually found issue number 2. Issue number 6. And this is definitely, I would think this was a later pressing, or just a different way of, you can see the little squares, the difference between the 2. Or maybe that was just a newer way that they were designing the comic book. And also issue number 7. And I believe issue 1 and 2, I also have extras of those. At that same store, from Rip-Off Press, this is Freak Brothers. In The Idiots Abroad Part 1, I've always been a fan of, the whole title kind of having this block style, and then just having the block style art down there. Always a big fan of that. Next up, issue number 20, and this is the last book I want to show today. From the print mint, this is Yellow Dog Comics. And this is another one that definitely came from Greg's. Now, I did end up picking up some more that ended up being doubles that I showed in the last comic haul video. but I definitely wanted to share these latest ones that I picked up. So hopefully there'll be some more for me there. I know Howard, the guy who owns Greg Comics, told me that in his storage he thinks he has another long box of underground stuff. And I'm definitely more so looking for the Corbin stuff, more of the horror stuff, and some of the sci-fi stuff. It's hit or miss with sci-fi with me, but this was a nice little haul, you know, since the last video. So a lot of good books in there to look through. So I'm looking forward to digging in there. So that's all for now. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you soon with a lot more comic hauls. I do have some videos that are coming up of some of the individual titles that I've picked up in the last year that I've read or I'm in a process of reading. So I'll be explaining some of those titles to you very soon. Some real cool books. All right. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time on Daryl D TV. You comic geeks, be safe. Peace.